this class. All right, thanks everyone for participating in the quiz. So let's quickly just go to our knowledge check. I'm sharing my screen. So questions, people are going to help us submit another response. So we have, so who's going to give us the question number one? Said the first destination of an inbound email gets to, well, I mean the first destination of an inbound email, not, in Exchange Online Protection, is transport rule. Is that correct? Anyone? The statement that the destination, the first destination, if a mail is sent to an organization, the very first destination is going to get to, as far as Exchange Online Protection, which is the firewall. So the first place it gets to is transport rule. Is it a correct answer or not? Who want to answer? Anyone? Any idea? Okay, so the answer, I hope I'm not muted. So, okay, so if nobody's going to, probably going to be a cat. Nobody want to try. Is in the notes already provided. So it's in the notes. So the first destination is connecting filter. So that's where the IP is. Before then we have anti-spam, then we have the transport rule. So this answer is false. So the second question is, the first destination of an inbound email get to, for email to get to, in the Exchange Online Protection is anti-malware. Again, that is also false. It's a connection filter. So I just replied. Now, the third question is, the first place an outbound email gets to in the Exchange Online Protection is outbound anti-malware filter. This is correct. So the answer is correct. The first place it gets to is the filter, because if your email is going outside the organization, the filter is expected to check it if it doesn't have any form of virus, any form of anti-malware activities before it sends out. You don't want it to, we don't want any damaged reputation for your organizations, because if it gets to the other end and they're able to intercept it, your own email can actually be spoofed or can actually be blocked. So the Exchange Online Protection ensures that when your email is being sent outside the organization, your anti-spam filter verify that email is correct, is not corrupt, or it doesn't have any form of agent that can actually inflict the other person email. So the very first place we get to is anti-malware. So it's correct. Now, the other question is, one can trace an email exchange port. Can trace email on the Exchange admin portal as well as admin center. You all know what an Exchange admin portal is, and you also know what an Exchange, admin center is. We've compared that, from time to time. So I believe what it is, yeah. So somebody gave me an answer. So I believe one can trace and they say, so is it true or false? Yes. So one can trace this, and so the answer is false. So the answer is false. You can trace it on Exchange admin portal, but not on admin center. So the answer is false. So one can create transport rule. One can create transport rule in Exchange admin portal as well as admin center. We all know where the transport rule can be created. So my time is so one can create transport rule, and of course it is also false. So a lot of false here. So one can create a transport rule and as well as you can create a transport rule on Exchange admin portal. one can provide mailbox delegation in both Exchange Admin Center and Meet Admin Center, and as well as Admin Center. Is it true or false? Anybody want to try this one? True or false? Any answer to this? True or false? So the answer is yes. Yes, the answer is yes. So you can give permission to an email in either. Remember when we tried to do one for it's going to time me out. Going to submit response. So one can do that. So we can see one can create you can give somebody mailbox delegation on the Exchange Admin Center as well as Admin Center, on Exchange Admin Center and Admin Center generally. So now the last question is, MX2Box is one of the tools we looked at it last week, and then we also look at the connectivity analyzer. They are good tools in managing message headers and DNS. Is it true or false? Yes, the answer is true. While MX2Box is an external proprietary or a third-party tool, Microsoft Connectivity Analyzer is actually the tool provided by Microsoft. So we looked at both of these tools, and they're very good tools in tracing emails, headers, and then I also put DNS there because even though we didn't talk about DNS, we only did message trace, and with the header, then you also can also do DNS as well. So we can trace DNS. So that being said, so I think we should just go. So from the assignment last week, any questions before we go to today's class? Any question from anyone? Any question? All right, so let me quickly go. So we're going to be rounding up, of course, tomorrow. While I'll do a whole lot of overview today. I'll do a lot of overview today. So by tomorrow, we're just going to kind of finalize those overview. So I'm going to just take us through today, the third week, and then from day one, we'll be taking a look at the other workloads. We've talked about Entra ID. We talked about Admin Center. We talked about Exchange, which is a big part of the whole thing, especially as far as this course is concerned. And then we also have other items too we have not touched. And then those are the ones that we're going to deep dive more. Of course, we're going to deep dive more on Exchange as well, but these are other workloads that we'll be talking about in deeper when we have a lengthy time to actually deal with them. But for now, we're going to do a lot of overview on SharePoint. What is SharePoint? What is OneDrive? Teams, admins, and then the overview. Then we're going to take a look at what we call Purview, which Microsoft used to call compliance. So they want to make sure that there's a compliance within the organization. Then, of course, we talked about security. A lot of people are talking about cybersecurity, of course. Everything you're going to do on the internet needs security. Everything rise and fall under security. Whether it's going to send email out, bringing email out, checking users, and different levels of layers of securities we are going to talk about today. And we'll have an overview by tomorrow. We'll just be concluding, asking questions, and then maybe take a little bit of an aspect of the security, a little bit of SharePoint, and also for one Purview. So let's start with SharePoint. What is SharePoint? I mean, we've heard about SharePoint. If you're the Apra business, so we'll even give a picture or diagram, but I will use my environment to show you what a SharePoint is. What is SharePoint? So SharePoint online platform generally comprise of site collections, websites, web parts, and pages. So when you try to get into, I would define it, well, so we'll call an intranet site, even though it can be exposed externally. I'll call it an intranet site. I mean, probably just hearing that from me, you may probably not see that on the platform, but it's an intranet site. Why? Because it's within the organization. You've seen what we call they used to have a definition called internet. They used to have what called internet is generally something that you can see on the web. Just type www and you can see on the web. Now, does it mean that you cannot see SharePoint 2 on the web? Yes, you can see it on the web, but it's going to be internet. It's going to be intranet, meaning it's going to be within the organization. So if you don't have an account to sign in within that organization, you cannot have access to the intranet site. So it's a way to develop an application that people can see generally within the organization. So if, for instance, they are trying to get onboarded and you get onboarded, they said, oh, where can we get information about your website, about the things going on within the environment? You will probably get it on the intranet site, which if you don't have the account, you can't sign in or get into that space. So you will need to be able to sign in before you can get in there. So it's an intranet site. Now, how do we know? So, how do we go take a look at it? So it's a site. It's a website also that contains various SharePoint objects, such as pages, documents, libraries, or calendars. It's a site. And then, not only that, it's a site. Now, if that site that's like a website, now if you try to bring different sites together, that's what we call site collection. It's a group of sites. It becomes a group. Now, when you talk about site collections, you're actually talking about different sites. Now, this site can mean several things. You can have several links to them. So we call site collection, and normally it's organized either by department, by this. So in most organizations, what they do is the IT department can say, oh, we want to have our own sites. And then in their own site, they have everything about their ITs, about everything that every member of the IT will have access to. Now, the company can have one big site, which is big for everybody. And then why different departments can say, we want to have our own site. On our own site, we want to manage our calendars, we want to manage our everything, information. Maybe we don't want any other party to see it. The HR too might say, oh, we want to have information billboard where only people in HR will have to have access to that, information, because we don't want it to be a general one. So what it means is, and so what eventually happens is most companies will have one big component of a site, and that site will now have different links to whether HR and so if you try to get into that HR, if you don't have permission to that site, you will not be able to go into that site, because this is an HR. You require an access to get to that site. But the one that you have access to, you don't need to sign in. You don't need to, they don't need to create an account for. You just have access to it. So of course, the HTML pages and all that, we don't need to worry ourselves about this. I'm just giving an overview. And then, of course, we have the web parts, for that. So a typical of that is what I can tell you the way it works: site collection, site list, or library, folder, and items. On the other side, too, you see where we can have different management structure, and we all can take a look at what it's going to look like in terms of SharePoint, the structure, how it will actually go. I'm going to show you in a moment. And also, we are also going to take a look at what we call SharePoint permission inheritance. It go down the line, the tree. So if you give anybody permission at the site collection level, now by default, that person will have, is the tree. That person will have all the permission down the line. So, and if you give somebody on the site permission level, the person will not have access to the site collection level, but will have site permission to this, permission to this, permission, anything, any folder, any item that is linked to this site, this person will have access to it. The same way, if you give access to somebody at this level, the person may not have every of the lists or libraries, but only have the particular library, and then have access to every folder item that is attached to this particular library or folder, maybe the name of that library or folder, and then they'll have access to it. So you can have this, you can go through this. These are other references Before I go I'm going to give another one. I'm going to make a description of this one. Then I will then show you what I intend to show you. Now, people often talk about SharePoint. SharePoint, which like we always said, the typical way you can describe a SharePoint is a site, an internet site, so to say, where you can have it. So it has a link where you can actually get information, whether you want it for collaborations or whether you want it for communication, whichever way you want to. However, there is also something that is also very, 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 all of them has storage, because when you are creating a website, you must have a host, you have a storage for it. Now, the volumes of information going to that SharePoint, maybe somebody is updating information and all that, is going to be keeping those information on that SharePoint environment. However, there's also what called OneDrive for Business. OneDrive for Business is majorly structured for individual, while the SharePoint, because that's why the word share means is for collaboration. Like everything that we are doing together, for us to share work together, everything we go under our SharePoint, meaning you and I just need to have access to it, and then we can have that shared. But for OneDrive is personal. Anything you are doing on your own documents or your distance is personal to you. So, however, I can still share anyway. If I can share with somebody, if I feel like, oh, I have this drive on my account, just like when you have your own computer. If you have a network computer and then you have a file on your system and you want to share with another person, as long as that is network, what do? You just put this in on the right click on that particular folder and share with that person on the other, or with the same network. And the person can be able to, you can unshare whenever you feel like you don't want the person to have access again. The same way when you have OneDrive for Business. Now, that's what you see on the right side here. On the left side here is what you see. You see the flow in which they all work together. So a man here is working on his item, and then this item gets synced. So for any reason you lose your system, and then you are working on this thing, you can just get a new system, put the same account, and then everything is already saved in the cloud. So now, whether you are using OneDrive, which is primarily your own personal Microsoft account, because they are two different. If you are using OneDrive for Business, it's probably talking about the one that is provisioned by your office, your work or school accounts. You can also have OneDrive, which is actually your own personal accounts. I have two window environments here on my system. And if I have about 3 or 4, so one for my school, one for my, let me show you. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it. So I have, and you have it. So I have, this is for my personal account, for instance. Okay, yeah, I can see here. So I have one for my lab while I'm here on the work account. So this other account that I have here. Now, each of them has a different licenses. The one I'm here, I'm on my work environment, my school environment, my personal environment, my lab environment, my personal lab environment. So you can have a different work. So the OneDrive could be different. However, all of them still go to Upload Center, which uploads your thing into an account in the cloud. If it's a OneDrive, it keeps your personal information here personally to you within the organization. So until you share it. While everything that is here under this share, whoever that has access to this data center under this thing within the organization will have access to it. Now, generally, these are all the informations running through the Office 365. So just understand that. So this is running through Office 365, which is this one is for personal, this one is for business organization, And then, of course, data encryption at rest. There's something that is making sure that even every of your data that is being stored here, nobody will be able to retrieve it because it's been saved on the database. So it's being saved to ensure that it's being encrypted. Okay. Now, let me quickly just show you what it means from my end here. Let's look at so I'm going to take a look at our, let's start with which I believe all of you has now. You all have an account which you can check. And then we have, you asked me to sign in again. All right, so we have this, and then we go to SharePoint. Yeah, we may not be able to go through all these things, but we're going to just touch few things. The very most we're going to talk about is just going to be the active sites and also deleted sites. And for the next class where you're going to go deeper, we're going to talk about containers and deleted containers for applications. Then talk about policies, sharing. I can just talk a little bit about policy here and access control. But we'll just talk about this. So this is a SharePoint site. These are sites, and you will see some of them are called communication sites. Anyone that you see that doesn't have Teams, they are majorly for communication sites. And then add within the organization. So giving an example of this. So an example of this is you will have something like this within your organization where you could see just like a website. So I created this for organization, company profile, and all that. So you can do that. You should have a web part. If you are this thing, you edit it probably. But people who are seeing it, who doesn't have admin access, will not see the edit. They will see it as like a website. Like I said, like a website. So you have all these things within the organization, and then you must have seen it before when you get onboarded. And you're like, oh, this is your website. Just check this one, and then you see something, and then you go. So that's your intranet site. If you are not a member of this organization, you cannot have access to it. Even if you're a member of it, there are also things that you can also access to. That's what I talk about, different level of access, through this link. What else again? So we have excuse me. Where did I create my? Okay, yeah, just want to make sure that I get that one out. All right, so we have this as an account, and then we have another one. I think so every other thing that you see here, they are channels, they are teams, they are connected with teams. So they have their own storage, but now it's interacted with teams. We're going to get to teams, but just for you to know that this account, all this one, they are sites, even though they are interacted by the collaboration work, which is teams. So, and then they will be probably going to be more. And because in terms of interactions, the more interaction it is going to be having more. So we have several team sites, which is more team sites, we call it. And then we also have what we call a communication site. So I think there's another one, which is this. So which is another one. So which is also a communication site. Let's see. Somebody must have touched tamper with this. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me check the. Okay, somebody must have tampered. Okay, so the bottom line is, where you have different level of yeah. So I think somebody must are do different arrangement on this one. So you have just like the other one, you have again, I know somebody must have tampered with this. So you have different arrangements also to give you something similar to what you have. And then just like this, so there are communication sites you can share. Having said that, so let's go back a little bit. Now, the team sites are maybe I'm not going to go. Okay, let me just go to this. So the team sites is where people collaborate. It's majorly for collaboration. I'm going to show. So like again, all these team sites, like for instance, this one is linked to Teams. Under Teams, like we have Teams channels. Like these are Teams channels, but they have a directory. They have where you can see. So we have several people working within the organizations to. So we have Teams channels, and then part of. So when you create the Teams channels here, automatically it creates a page for you. John, want to say something?
Yeah, quick question. Sorry. When you're referring to Teams, are you referring to the Teams like a template of Teams in the Microsoft
Microsoft Teams.
Teams? Okay.
So
Oh, really? Okay. Oh.
yeah. So when you create, we're going to go to. I have my reason why I'm showing you this because we are going to try to create a site, and then we'll now see the options. And then if you see this, because I know you don't have Teams on your own account for collaboration, so I need to just show you guys. So these are team chats, for instance. These are team chats. We have chats, and then we have Teams channels, Teams and channels. So I can create a new your team channels. These are my teams, and I can create a new team chat or channels. I can create a new channels, and I can create a new team. So I can create a new channels. So when you're creating a new teams and a new channels, now again, because I've not really thought about teams, but it's just going to use that to explain because they are for collaboration. Remember when we're creating a group, M365 group, I did mention that you can create the group without teams, or you can create the group with teams. And I said that group is majorly for collaboration. In most cases, when you are creating SharePoint, automatically, when you create that SharePoint site, it will create a group alongside with it. And then they also give you option whether this SharePoint that you want to create should be a site without teams. And then from there you have an option. So I'm just going to take a break from here. So let's go to create a site. Now, when we're trying to create a site, it's going to give me two options. It's going to ask me whether we want to make it like a website that we just use so that it just be information focused, right? Or it's just going to be something like the team site where you can share resources like I think I know what you are talking about. We have team, same like a team, and then we have teams. Teams is, I through this avenue where you are collaborating, but the team site is actually made up for collaboration. So the team site would automatically have a teams alongside with it because it's majorly for collaboration. Now, if I click on this, it will give me templates on, how do I want to build my portal and this and this and this. Give me what can I do, whether it's for volunteers and all that. And I can create many of these for departments and all that. So department can create their own, maybe brand central. maybe I want to create a brand center, then later on create different departments and link them together, it's also very possible. Now, so if I create this, it also give me something similar, but they are going to work differently. And because knowing fully well that I will want so many things in this, I will want a system by people can actually share calendar, people can share communication while they are working on teams. I'm talking about teams now, but this is a team as a template. So I think I remember what you were trying to ask. So what is going to look like is going to look like this, and then you can do share your so employee, it will give you several options in terms of what you want to do. You could see connected to this, connected to this. You see people will be making charts or connections will be here. You can integrate a whole lot of things to it, team charts and all that into this team page, because it is. But immediately you create it, automatically it will create a team chart for you where you can be able to create a team chart. So we can take a look at this also as well. So I'm going to go back to my notes because, like I said, today is just going to be more of an overview, and we can go from there, and then we'll probably, So on the Teams, Teams, Microsoft Teams now, majorly for collaborations and communication platform. And of course, it comprises almost everything. It's Microsoft. It's more like one of the best. Will I call it? That creates a whole lot of interconnection to different Microsoft environments. Microsoft used to have a what called Sky for Business. And I think they bought Sky for Business. When they bought Sky for Business, they create something that is more flexible, more that is going to be majorly online. Sky for Business has both on-prem and other for those who are still using it, but they have something that so it still can be integrated to Sky for Business, but Teams make sure that it works across platforms. And then you can download it as a desktop. You can download it in your mobile, just like we have an Outlook as well. Then you can also check, connect on the web browser. So I have an example of this. I connected on the web browser. This is my own account on the desktop, you see. And then the same account too, I can also connect through on my regular web browser, which is through this. So I can still connect through this account. So it's going to give you the same experience anyway. So just have that at back. And then of course your phone too, also connect to my phone. And then you can have that at the same time. What are the key features there? Of course, persistent chats, one-on-one, group, teams-wide, instant messaging, from across meetings, videos. Somebody asked a question last time that's, why are most people still using Zoom? When you're using Microsoft to Microsoft is the best, especially when within your Microsoft ecosystem. At least for what I know, it's not because you cannot use people outside who doesn't have a license. They can use Teams, but there's so many restrictions when it comes to Teams. And most times, Microsoft always wants you to register their identity on their platform. And that's why they have what called guest accounts, even with that. So to register your account with their platform. But with Zoom, it's more like a one-to-many. So you don't need to have a private account. So for now, most organizations use Zoom if you are connecting with external person. But if the other organization has Microsoft Teams and you also have Microsoft Teams, the best way to connect is to use Microsoft Teams. Except maybe you are interfacing with general populace or general people outside, and then that comes with different that don't have a Microsoft account. then the best choice is for you to use Zoom in this case. Now, file sharing, collaborations, across board. And that's why I always say that it's Microsoft just monopolize the whole thing, because whether you like it or not, except the company will come in now and start creating something we don't know or we have not seen, or a tool that I know there are thousands of tools out there now, but you see those basic things, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all those things. Yeah, except they come up with something. I think Microsoft, Google is close to that, Google Docs, and all that stuff, is still where they are actually leveraging on, but still not as, this is as this part of the services. Now, and of course, integration with apps, with different apps, with your teams, you can do a whole lot with your teams. I could create, just show you an example of what I'm talking about. On just your teams alone, let's say I go to one of my channels, and I needed to just integrate something. I could just integrate, a whole lot of apps on these channels alone. I could search for existing platform, Visio. I could do a workflow on this. So the whole of integration can come in on the team. So they made it in such a way that you could take a lot of integrations, in on this, in Teams, on this application with Teams. So video calling and Teams phone. Now, Microsoft has gone beyond just having Teams to Teams call. They've also gone to make sure that they also have the architecture that can actually call PSTN. I used to have that before, when I actually can call through my Teams to any phone number outside. But I need to have certain licenses to be able to make sure to work. So allowing user to make and receive calls to external phone number directly within the apps. So you're going to call me like when you open your app like this, under your calls, and then you just open something like this where you can dial from here. It gives you like a phone number pad where you can just dial, any number. As long as you have that capability, you are ready to go. You can call your regular line, from that. So we have that Teams call, and then of course, security is generally, everything is enterprise level security compliance. So there are a lot of can be enforced. So the architecture, in generally, for those who might want to, you have the dream of, going with us, and then you could have interest in the way your architecture works. So web, desktop, your app, which is either iOS or Android app, you can download. Then you have what we call the Microsoft Grabs, which also can help you automatically make a PSTN call. So it helps in conversion of your ID. It picks your own assigned phone, and then makes a PSTN call, which is a public switch in a transport network. It makes that call outbound, and they can also receive that call also as well. So automatically, what it means is very simple. You can receive call on Teams, anybody dialing a number, and people can also call you. So from your laptop, from your phone, and from the distance. So that's another one. So let's quickly go to Purview, an overview. Part of what we do in M365 is to ensure that data are secured, compliance are followed, and then set of rules, regulations are also followed. And the only way to do that is to ensure that you put certain regulation in place. And that's what is Microsoft Purview compliance is all about. And there are several layers to this. We have the core layers. If we go to, we'll check it together. We have the core layers, which talks about the audits, compliance, and lots. And then we have, we have the we have the data security layer. We have different layers, data loss prevention, data security postures. This is where we are talking about Microsoft making sure that, using the Copilot now. Microsoft has already introduced something also called DSPMs, which is they actually make sure that they predict how likely your data can be exposed, and then you start giving you suggestions on how to, keep your data secure. So, for instance, on the DLP, it's to prevent information loss, and then you create different sensitive labels or to label your documents in such a way that in such a way that if somebody is trying to send it out, that name will not allow it to be sent out. One, you can also, they have different methods. We are going to take a look at it briefly tomorrow. But again, it's something that's very interesting environment. These are the areas where you see more people are into legal, people are into data protection, and then of course who are working towards cybersecurity as a full-time profession can be leaning more into this. But these are things that you also need to know as M365 engineer or admin, because you never can tell anywhere you're going to grow up with and then begin to master different environments as well. So whether it's information protection area under the Purview or DSPM or data security postures, where you'll be getting items, for you to be able to correct measures, put the proper measures of security in place. You can never. There are actually two. We have risk. I think we're supposed to talk about the core audit, compliance, alerts, and then risk, and then of course we also have the second part, which is the data security, data governance, how the life cycle of data is being cycled. What that means basically is when an information is done with, how long does this information need to last within the organization? This information that you have here, how long can we keep it? Are we keeping it forever? Are we keeping it, for the next any information on our emails that does maybe last about 5 years, 10 years should automatically, because in the reality, you don't really want to start going back 10 years to start checking information that probably might not be relevant. But there are documents, there are things that you want to keep forever. So you want to make sure that those documents are kept forever. You want to make sure that the ones that are meant to go will have to go. You want to make sure that so those are where you plan different data management life cycle and all that. So I'm going to just go through this for a minute. Let's quickly go to Purview Center, which is Microsoft Purview. So you have it on your own end. So I expected you to just take a look at it. They are complex. They could be very complex in terms of configuration. That's not a problem, but just be aware, be aware of the things you're likely going to be working through with. So these are different items. And then of course, these are different items. You could see the audits, you could see these are different items that's listed on it. You could see also e-discovery. We could be doing a lot of deep dive for the next 7 weeks. For those who are going to be continuing to deep dive and get more information on that. So we have all these, you can explore them. Out of all this one, the most important with this discovery is a little bit longer, so we can't be able to consider this. But tomorrow, information barrier to also be considered next class. If you just a way of, you can have several people in the organization, you may want to stop them from even reaching each other at all in any way possible. Like you want to keep HR away from these other people so that they will not have any means of communication at all, maybe through Teams or something. So you can restrict them. You can have people working from home and then they will never even get to know each other within the organization. everything will be restricted. So that's what the conditional barrier is about. But let's take a look at them. But we are going to take a look at a little bit of data loss prevention, because that is what's common, especially when it comes to email messaging. So we're going to take a little bit deep into this as part of our rounding up, because the DLP is common. E-discovery is not common. It's not something, it's majorly for people who are going to be more into data security, preventing data, put on litigation hold, those are in the legal departments. So, but the ones that are very much common when it comes to the email messaging flows is data loss. We're going to take a look at that, data loss. All right. So, and then you have a knowledge center. You can also avail yourself to get more into information about all these things. Very much important. So the last part of it will be the security part. Microsoft Defender Security. Microsoft Defender Security. We have several items here, which of course, we can't take a look of all this one. But out of all these items here, we have several of them. If you go to your identity part, which is my identity, you will see all these things there. Explore, Entra, ID protection. You may not be able to see this one because this, I think, ID protection comes as your P2, but try and walk around this. Just go through them. What the level of security under identity. Of course, it's quite different when you have what we call this another level of security. Another level of security for detection and response. This is more of responding to threats. And then the one we are going to be looking at is Microsoft Defender for Office 365, because that's the focus for now. So we're not going to talk about Microsoft Sentinel, in this class, in this class and this like that. So, but we're going to talk about Defender for Office 365. Of course, there's also Defender for cloud apps too as well, but we're not going to talk about that because they are very broad. So for those who are going to be doing about infrastructure generally, that's cloud security, infrastructure, the gateway, Azure firewall, these are gateways. So these are also different endpoints. But this just go to familiar yourself. I'm not going to bore you, but we're going to just focus on this for this. And that's why when you see my next slide, you'll see I clearly put it here that we have Microsoft Defender for 365 protection stacks. Of course, the very first thing is the attacks that always comes in through Edge. What do you mean Edge? That is the gateway. How does it come in? It comes through the domain, somebody faking the domain. Okay, send you an email as if it's coming from HP. Meanwhile, you use HP1 or something like that. So, and then or IP throttling, somebody trying to, change his IP to use it to send something to you, or using try to walk through your network, or, directory-based, filtering, and then scatter detection. Those are edge. Those are the first layer any cyber attack will first attack. And of course, the second layer they will want to attack, defense of attack will be to compromise your account and to be sure that, whatever email you are sending doesn't have authenticity. And then, of course, intra-organization, spoof intelligence, cross domains, and you can see all that mailbox intelligence. You remember we talked about 0 hours. It's part of what we call a mailbox intelligence. When immediately you are trying to open it, it just detonates. Whatever it is that has not been discovered through different process, it detonates, and then that takes it over completely. So impersonations, we're going to take a look at this tomorrow. Somebody, who can prevent form of impersonation through policies. Then, of course, the third layer will be transport rule. Now it's going to be more of you now, what you can control. It's going to be more of what you can control, your URL, your attachments, things you're sending, things you can have access to open, and things like that. And then while the last part is now is the what is in there. When you are trying to click something, you are trying to download something, you are trying to send something, your content, your OneDrive, and this. So these are things that's going to happen. Then for anybody who is going to be into security, I would always advise this step. You can follow these steps, for security generally as part of what we call about Microsoft Windows for Office 365, Defender for 365, Security for 365. Your email authentication needs to be corrected very well. We're going to take a look at that tomorrow, where we have Deakin, how it's been configured, the one that's been configured before, like in my own environment, configured, protection policies, assign permissions to admins, different priority tags. And for computer report setting, blocks and entry allow user, we're going to take a look at least quite a number of them tomorrow. The policies, we're taking a look at the email configuration policies, and then of course, block and allow entries of IPs. Policies, almost everything that we are going to take a look at. So again, so these are, I think those are the things we are going to. So while we already mentioned all this, so these are part of what these are all about. So I guess my slide is supposed to move in this before the security Microsoft Defender for 365. So basically that's what you get. And then I'm not sure we're able to do this in full, but I think I've provided a kind of overview of all this. What we didn't really talk much about is the permission, which we are going to take a look at tomorrow. And then we can take a look at this. I will leave it at that. I think the other one that I have not shown is the OneDrive for Business. Now, OneDrive for Business, it's you probably have some of these. I don't probably use it, so but it's something that has to be synced, from time to time. So it gets synced, manage backup, it syncs all your information, get them off the cloud, and all that. So, like I said, if your computer gets spoiled or something happen, you don't need to lose, and you are not going to lose anything. You're going to move all your information, it's like it's doing now, moving all my information on premises, on my system to the cloud. So everything I've done, putting my email, anything is going to take them to the cloud. So it's as simple as that. So of course, tomorrow we're going to do a little bit of knowledge check, and then at the same time, we'll just take deep dive into just email authentication, DLP, and also we'll take into policies of security. And then maybe Internet Explorer said, listen, maybe just few. All right. So hopefully I'm expecting that as many people on this call would want to take it further. We want to take it further for us to have enough time. There are several opportunities out there. Several opportunities out there. People are calling me. Of course, now people now negotiate whether they want to do hybrid. But I've done a couple of times. I've done 2 jobs in between, but there are several opportunities out there. It's a job that is very convenient. You don't need, of course, we will do a little bit of PowerShell when we get to next class, but I can tell you, if you follow through, is something. If you want to change, if you want to change, there's a gradual process you can allow you to change to get more information, and then you could just change into your career and all that. Maybe one of the best job I've done in my lifetime. So, and of course, I do the training. Today, I'm training a lot of people in Nigeria and other parts of Africa too as well. and then I do a whole lot of things on my own. So please, I would just encourage you. It's a good thing. But if you know you are okay in what you're doing, if you know you are okay, I mean, it's not compulsory. But if you feel that, oh, I really want to get deep into this and I want to get a worthwhile job with this, yes, I will encourage you to get onto the next class. And then of course you can tell as many people that are not in this class or that are not here to join as well. You have enough time to prepare. Those who have not joined, they can still join. There's even people who are not even meeting class. The video is on the YouTube. They can watch those videos. If they need guidance, we need guidance before we move them to the next class. And then we start. We have enough time, questions, practice a lot of scenarios, do presentations, build a lot of confidence in you, to be sure that yes, you can actually deliver, because we're actually training people for them to actually deliver on the market front, because it's a good thing for me if I get people trained and then they deliver on the market front. And we're adding value to the corporation, we're adding value to people, to organizations and all that. So, what I've discovered over the years is, most times, and I know people might have maybe bias, especially for those for someone like me, who is a black person. But one thing they can't take away from me is that they have to listen to me to tell them what to do. So, and if I don't have what it takes, forget it, nobody will listen to you. So build the confidence when you are among the CEOs, vice presidents, and you'll be able to tell them this is what you have to do. You have to recommend to them, you have to tell them what to do, and they will listen to you because you are an authority. So that's what knowledge will do for anyone who cares to actually venture into that. So, so any question right now? Like I said, it's just going to be an overview. Take a moment and take a look at your environment that you have created. So tomorrow, I think once somebody give me an account to use, I have not revived so I deallocated my machine, virtual machine that I created, so I can still use it next tomorrow, maybe to do some practice. But if you have any questions, you can let me know before we close the class now. Any question? Anyone with questions? Okay. All right, Mr. John.
Yeah, thank you, sir. This is not a question, but it's just to appreciate your efforts for putting this together as a sort of foundation for some of us that we want to venture into system, the administrative, or if I'm right. Yeah. So, for system analyst. So, just to thank you for the effort, and God will continue to bless you. Because I was thinking about this, I know you do somehow very wide. So, maybe along the way, we'll still talk more. I mean, just to get some advice. But again, want to appreciate your effort. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for being there. At least we did that together. Thanks, everyone. All right. See you tomorrow. God bless
Thank
you all.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Joy.
Yeah.
Thank you.